nice. Hey YouTube, Long Boys Post 1975. Question time. Do you think that choosing a system, buying a system, or choosing a new system back in the day was kind of more exciting than it is now? This question is inspired by something I got asked by someone the other day, and they were talking about, when I reminisce about the SEGA Mastersystem, because it was my first system of my own, after the family, Spectrum that we all shared. And they said, oh, we've heard the story of how you got it, how you saved up for it so many times, but what made you choose it? And, excuse me, I thought that's a really, kind of cool question, because, at least to me, because of the, and when I say back in the day, I'm not talking about things more exciting because you're a kid, because, dependent upon your age, what I'm kind of talking about here is, the real sort of kick-in of, video game consoles, sort of 8-bit consoles. Atari, NES, SEGA Master System, stuff like that. Because why I say it was more exciting, or I'm talking about, sorry, people of a specific age, is that I mean, with that era of systems, to get to experience them firsthand was kind of, dependent upon where you live, that is, kind of a little bit, sort of, well, far more difficult than it is now. Everything is, is immediately accessible these days. You could jump on the internet. One of the greatest sort of tools to me is because, reviews and stuff in magazines and things like that and on websites, they're brilliant, but you've always got to take it with a pinch of salt. Remember that that's that person's, opinion, and their taste may vastly differ to yours. So what they think, is fantastic, you might just think is meh. It's okay. So one of the greatest things for me is I prefer watching people, like YouTube videos of people I know their tastes in games, and understand their personality, and see them playing a game, see how much fun they have at it. And obviously that was just not available back in the day. When I wanted a SEGA Master System, I think the main thing that made me want it was based entirely, this is going to make me sound like a fanboy, on the strength of Sega's name in the arcades. I mean, I loved the conversions they did on the Spectrum, so, when it got to the point where I could get some money, and get my own first system, I wanted to recreate that experience at home, but I knew nothing about the hardware of the machine, and also, there were no TV programs on gaming at this specific period in time, and obviously the SEGA Master System came out absolutely huge in Europe and in the UK, but in its initial days, early days and stuff like that, there were no, magazines for it. My first sort of, my knowledge, or, why I chose it over the NES, or my experience of it and the NES, was 2 pages called Me Machines, because this is prior to Me Machines becoming a spin-off magazine. 2 pages in Computer and Video Games magazine, a magazine I absolutely adore. So you would see these pictures, and you would read the person's reviews, but it wouldn't, 100% like any, interview, or sorry, review, give you sort of any kind of experience of how it would play, how it would even look when it moved. Now, at least in my neck of the woods back then, you would seldom go into a store, like John Lewis, even places like that, and they would have these things set up, that kind of followed with the Mega Drive and the SNES, but you never got it on, as I said, at least in my neck of the woods, from the Master System or the NES. So to get, back then, a hands-on experience, it was basically reliant upon if you knew someone who had one, and I knew no one who had a Master System when I got one. I knew no one who had a NES until a few years later. So as I said, it was a leap, at least to me, a leap of faith, a leap into the unknown. You could read these magazines, these little parts of these magazines, you could look at these pictures, but unless you got to experience it in a store, as I said, which I didn't, or you knew someone who had it, you really, to some degree, didn't actually know what you were going to get. So I kind of think that aspect, the internet and things like that, well, don't get me wrong, I love the internet, wouldn't want to live in a world without it, but it's kind of removed a little bit of excitement of, that big purchase, that big jump into the unknown. Because you could experience everything through the eyes of another individual, and gain an understanding of what it's like. But, at least to me then, the leap from Spectrum to SEGA Master System, I'd seen, as I said, I've read reviews, even though they were saying good things. I'd never seen it physically moving. There were no commercials initially for the SEGA Master System back in the day. I can remember commercials later on became really, really successful, like the "Do Me a Favour, Plug Me into a SEGA" one. I can't recall any commercials for the NES, but that might be because obviously after I had my Master System I was not really interested in it. But yeah, I think to me it was far more exciting back in the day, and as I said, not necessarily because I was a kid or if you were a young adult, but because you know, I know I'm repeating myself, it was that kind of, it was a leap of faith. You didn't truly 100% know what you were getting into unless you had experienced it, and quite a lot of people in my neck of the woods never got to experience it before we bought it. Anyway, that was a waffle. What do you think? Do you think, you know, it was more exciting back in the day? Do you think technology has kind of taken a little bit of that excitement out of it? Don't get me wrong, a new system's still a wonderful, fantastic thing, but yeah, I'd love to know, you know, well, what you think, and also what are your sort of stories of why you got the system you did and your leap of faith, if you will. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.